England travels to Ellis Park on July 4th for the Nations Championship opener, carrying an impressive winning streak and genuine confidence that this time might be different. South Africa's fortress in Johannesburg has broken countless visiting teams over decades, but Eddie Jones's England arrived in June of 2018, believing they'd cracked the code, 24 points to 3 ahead after 20 minutes. Complete dominance. Then altitude, atmosphere, and home power combined to produce one of Ellis Park's most memorable comebacks as South Africa recovered to win 42 points to 39. The question facing Steve Borthwick's England now is whether they've learnt from that experience or whether Ellis Park's unique challenges will expose similar vulnerabilities, regardless of how well prepared teams believe themselves to be. The match matters enormously for both nations' championship campaigns. Every result contributes towards standings that determine qualification for finals and ultimately championship contention. Losing your opener, particularly away from home against one of World Rugby's elite teams, creates immediate pressure that affects subsequent matches when margin for error disappears. England understands this reality, South Africa understands it equally. Neither can afford complacency or mistakes that compound into larger problems as the competition progresses. Ellis Park sits 1,753 metres above sea level, altitude sufficient to affect lung capacity, decision-making under fatigue, and physical performance during matches' crucial final periods. Visiting teams arrive in Johannesburg days before matches attempting to acclimatise, but physiological adaptation to altitude requires weeks, not days. England's preparation will be thorough, professional, scientifically informed. The challenge is that science can't fully overcome physics when oxygen availability decreases, and bodies must work harder to maintain performance levels that come naturally at sea-level venues. The 2018 match demonstrated these principles perfectly. England's opening 20 minutes showcased everything they prepared. Mike Brown, Elliot Daly and Owen Farrell scored converted tries that silenced the Ellis Park crowd and suggested English superiority would be decisive. Then Faf de Klerk sparked South Africa's revival with a try that shifted momentum completely. Spusiso Nkosi crossed twice before Willie le Roux added another score that gave South Africa a 29-27 halftime lead despite trailing by 21 points. England never recovered. The pattern revealed something crucial about Ellis Park as a venue. Visiting teams can compete effectively for periods, sometimes even dominate extended stretches, but maintaining that intensity across 80 minutes against opponents who train regularly at altitude, understand the venue's unique demands, and feed off crowd energy that builds as matches progress requires physical and mental reserves that altitude depletes faster than most teams anticipate. England's squad for July will feature different personnel than 2018. New coaching staff, evolved tactical approaches, lessons learned from that experience, and subsequent matches played at altitude venues. The question becomes whether those changes address the fundamental challenge that Ellis Park presents or simply represent different variations on familiar problems that altitude exposes regardless of specific tactical frameworks teams employ. South Africa's home advantage at Ellis Park extends beyond simple altitude effects to encompass broader environmental factors that combine creating formidable challenges for visitors. The crowd generates atmosphere that visiting players describe as intimidating, overwhelming, unlike anything experienced elsewhere. South African teams feed off that energy, particularly when matches remain competitive and crowd involvement intensifies during crucial periods. Referee decisions, momentum shifts, individual moments of brilliance all get amplified by surroundings that favour home teams in ways that cumulative effects alter match dynamics beyond what statistics capture. The Nations Championship format adds complexity that didn't exist during traditional test series. Previously, teams losing away matches could regroup for return fixtures at home venues where advantages reversed. The Nations Championship operates differently. Each match stands alone, contributing points toward tables where every result matters equally, regardless of venue. England losing at Ellis Park means dropping points that directly affect championship qualification calculations. Recovery opportunities exist through subsequent matches, but competitive balance means most teams will split home and away fixtures against quality opposition, making dropped points difficult to recover when margins separating top teams remain razor-thin throughout competitions. England's recent form provides legitimate reasons for confidence despite Ellis Park's history. Steve Borthwick has built a team that wins consistently, defends resolutely, and competes effectively against quality opposition. The squad features experienced players who face South Africa successfully in other venues and understand what performing at Test Rugby's highest level requires. That experience matters. The question is whether it translates effectively to Ellis Park's unique environment, or whether the venue presents challenges that experience elsewhere doesn't fully prepare teams to handle. South Africa approaches this match understanding that England arrives dangerous, capable, and properly motivated to avenge 2018 and start the Nations Championship successfully. Complacency would be fatal. Underestimating opponents who've prepared specifically for Ellis Park's challenges while carrying genuine belief they can win would create vulnerabilities that England's quality would exploit ruthlessly. Rassie Erasmus and his coaching staff will ensure the Springboks respect England's capabilities while leveraging every advantage Ellis Park provides without relying on home venue alone to determine outcomes. The tactical battle will revolve around how England manages the match's physical demands across 80 minutes versus how South Africa exploits opportunities when English intensity inevitably fluctuates under altitude's cumulative effects. England will attempt controlling tempo, minimising phase play that depletes energy reserves unnecessarily, and capitalising on scoring opportunities early when fitness levels remain optimal. South Africa will counter by maintaining defensive intensity that forces England into extended attacking sequences requiring sustained effort at altitude, then transitioning to attack when English defensive organisation weakens as fatigue affects decision-making and physical execution. If you're enjoying this video, hit subscribe. We really appreciate all the support and comments here on Rugby Chopper. Drop your thoughts below. The historical precedent suggests caution about predicting English success at Ellis Park, regardless of their current form or preparation quality. Too many strong visiting teams have arrived confident only to discover that Ellis Park's challenges prove more formidable than anticipated. Australia experienced this recently. Despite genuine belief they'd figured out how to win in Johannesburg, New Zealand has suffered similar fates despite possessing talent and experience that should translate to success regardless of venue. The pattern repeats with sufficient consistency that dismissing it as coincidence or making excuses about specific circumstances that affected individual results misses the broader point that Ellis Park creates unique challenges most visiting teams struggle handling effectively. England's situation differs slightly because they're not playing a multi-match series where recovery opportunities exist. This is their one appearance at Ellis Park during the Nations Championship cycle. Everything rides on 80 minutes of rugby, played under conditions that historically favour home teams dramatically. The pressure of that reality affects preparation, player psychology, and in-game decision-making in ways that compound when circumstances during matches don't unfold according to planned scenarios. The verdict on whether England makes the same mistake 2018 revealed comes down to whether they've genuinely addressed the fundamental challenges Ellis Park presents, or whether they're simply better prepared to face familiar problems that altitude and atmosphere will expose again when physical demands exceed what preparation at sea-level venues can fully replicate. South African rugby supporters will back their team confidently, knowing Ellis Park rarely disappoints when the Springboks need home advantage to overcome quality opposition. English supporters will hope this time proves different, that lessons learned and improved preparation translate to success where previous generations fell short. The answer arrives July 4th when 80 minutes of rugby determines whether England has truly evolved or whether Ellis Park's home power proves decisive once again. Both nations understand that Nations Championship points carry weight beyond individual match results, affecting seeding, qualification pathways, and ultimately championship prospects that extend through multiple seasons. The psychological dimension of this opener cannot be understated, as winning establishes momentum while losing creates doubt that permeates subsequent performances regardless of how teams rationalise early setbacks. One thing's certain though, mate, it's going to be a proper tough call until that final whistle blows.